All right, let's tackle a topic that you see everywhere these days, but it can be really confusing. Human frequencies. We're going to dive into the real, measurable rhythms happening in your body and see how they're different from, the vibrations people talk about in wellness and spiritual circles.
I mean, you've almost certainly heard these phrases, right? Good vibes only, or you need to raise your vibration. But what's actually going on behind those words? Are we talking about something real, something measurable, or is it more of a metaphor for how we feel? Let's dig in.
So this is really the core of it, the main distinction we need to make. On one side, you have scientific frequency. This is stuff we can literally measure with instruments, like brainwaves and hertz. But on the other side, you have spiritual vibration, which is a powerful, powerful metaphor for our emotional state. We're going to explore both of these worlds and see where they just might connect.
Okay, let's start with the hard science. Because your body really is like an electrical symphony, always producing these rhythms that we can actually measure. So let's take a look at what they are. The most famous of these are, of course, your brainwaves. And they aren't just some abstract idea. They are the real, collective electrical hum of millions of your neurons all firing together in sync. And scientists can actually see this and measure it using a tool called an EEG.
And what's so fascinating is how these different frequencies map almost perfectly to our different states of mind. Way down at the bottom, you have those slow, rolling delta waves. That's you in a deep, dreamless sleep. As you move up the scale, the waves get faster. Alpha is that nice, calm, relaxed, but awake state. Beta? Well, that's your normal, alert, focused mind, probably where you are right now. And way up top, you have gamma waves, which are linked to peak focus and those aha moments of insight. But it's not just about the brain. Your heart has its own powerful rhythm. You see, a healthy heart doesn't beat like a clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The time between each beat actually changes slightly. This is called heart rate variability, or HRV, and it's a huge indicator of how healthy and resilient your nervous system is.
And this is amazing. It shows a direct, measurable link between your heart and your emotions. When you feel positive emotions like gratitude or love, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and orderly, like a beautiful sine wave. That's a state called coherence. But when you're stressed or angry, that rhythm becomes jagged and chaotic. This isn't a metaphor, it's a physiological fact. Okay, so now that we've got a handle on the real, measurable frequencies in our bodies, let's switch gears. Let's look at how the precise language of science gets borrowed and really redefined to create a whole new way of talking about ourselves. This shift in meaning is absolutely key to understanding this topic. So take the word frequency. In science, it's a number, cycles per second, measured in hertz. Simple. But in a metaphysical context, it becomes a metaphor for your whole state of being. The same thing happens with vibration, energy, and resonance. The scientific definition is very specific, while the spiritual interpretation is broad and metaphorical.
And this new vocabulary creates a really intuitive way to talk about emotions. Positive feelings like joy and love, those are called high vibrations. They feel light. Negative feelings like fear or anger, those are low vibrations. They feel heavy. It's a simple framework, but it's a really powerful one for thinking about our inner world, with the main goal being to, raise your vibration.
Now, this entire framework is really the engine behind the law of attraction. This is the belief that your inner world, your vibration, made up of your thoughts and feelings, literally attracts similar experiences from the universe into your life. So this brings up a huge question, right? If the physics behind something like the law of attraction isn't really proven, why do so many people swear by it and report real changes in their lives? Well, the answer is often found in the incredible power of our own minds.
A huge piece of this puzzle is the placebo effect, and we need to be clear. This isn't about something being fake or just in your head. It's a real biological event. When you truly believe something will help you, your brain can release its own natural pharmacy of chemicals that create actual physical changes. Your belief itself becomes a medicine.
And sometimes there is a real scientific mechanism hiding in the mix, like with brainwave entrainment. This is a legitimate thing. You can use specific audio frequencies, like binaural beats, and your brain's electrical rhythms will start to sync up with them, gently guiding you into states like relaxation. It's a real, plausible effect on your brain.
But here's where it gets messy. That valid science often gets bundled up and sold with these huge, unprovable metaphysical claims, like it's going to activate your third eye or let you talk to spirit guides. And this just blurs the line between a real, subtle effect on your brain and a much larger spiritual belief that you can't really test.
This is a classic pattern you see in a lot of pseudoscience. It's so important to spot. You start with a small kernel of truth, something plausible. For instance, it is true that under specific lab conditions, certain electromagnetic fields can affect living cells. But then, that tiny fact gets stretched to support a giant, unproven claim, like the idea that a Rife machine can cure cancer using special frequencies, a claim that is overwhelmingly rejected by science and medicine.
Okay, so where does that leave us? How are we supposed to navigate all this to actually improve our lives? Let's try to pull it all together and build a practical, evidence-based way forward.
First, let's look at the practices that are scientifically proven to change your actual physiology. Meditation demonstrably changes your brainwave patterns. Practicing gratitude and compassion literally creates that coherent, healthy rhythm in your heart. And simple, controlled breathing directly calms your entire nervous system. These things have a real, physical impact on your body's frequencies.
Now, on the other hand, you have practices where the benefits seem to be driven primarily by your belief in them. This would include things like listening to special solfeggio frequencies to repair your DNA, or using crystals for their healing energy, or even law of attraction visualizations. These things work mainly through powerful psychological tools, like the placebo effect and the power of focused intention.
But here, and this is so cool, here is where we find this remarkable convergence. The very emotions that spiritual systems have labeled high vibration for centuries, emotions like love, gratitude, compassion, are the exact same states that science can now measure as creating healthy, coherent, and resilient biological rhythms. It's like one is the poetry and the other is the proof.
Which kind of leads to a final thought, doesn't it? Maybe the most powerful path forward isn't about choosing science or spirituality. Maybe it's about embracing the goals that spirituality has described for so long, like peace, joy, and compassion, and then using evidence-based scientific tools to help us actually get there in our own biology. What do you think?